So, you want to become a Java developer, but you're staring at this mountain of information, wondering where on earth to even start? Don't worry, it can feel a little overwhelming. But what if I told you there's a clear path? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to lay out that exact roadmap, step by step, to take you from zero to Java Pro.
That's the big question, isn't it? How do you make that jump from a total beginner to someone who's actually ready for the industry? It seems like a huge leap, but trust me, it's totally doable if you have the right game plan. So let's break that plan down right now.
We've broken this whole journey down into 5 simple stages. First, we'll take the first step to build your foundation. Then we'll unlock Java's core power. After that, it's all about industry skills to get you job ready. We'll put it all to the real test with some hands-on projects. And then wrap up with a realistic timeline and tip. Ready? Let's go.
Okay, step 1. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't start with the roof, right? You need a rock-solid foundation first. This part is all about building that base. And seriously, getting these fundamentals right is probably the most important part of this whole thing.
So how long does this super important first part take? Well, here's the good news. It's not as long as you might think. We're talking just 2 to 3 weeks to get this foundation poured and set. Let's see what you'll actually be doing in that time.
During these first couple of weeks, you're just getting the essentials down. Getting your tools set up, writing that classic Hello World program just to make sure everything's working, and then diving into the real building blocks, how to store information and how to get input from a user. Simple as that.
Once you've got those basics down, the next piece of the puzzle is learning how to actually control what your program does and when. This part will take about a week or 2. And honestly, this is where your code starts to feel like it has a life of its own.
This is where you give your program a brain. You'll learn how to make it make decisions using things like if-else statements and how to make it do things over and over again with loops. This is the core logic that turns a simple script into a smart problem-solving tool.
All right, your foundation is solid. Now it's time for the really cool part, unlocking Java's core power. This next stage is where we get into the stuff that has made Java one of the most powerful and popular programming languages on the planet for decades.
First up in this section, we're going to tackle a couple of fundamental tools that help you write much cleaner, much more efficient code. You can plan on spending about 1 to 2 weeks really getting these down.
So we're talking about functions and arrays. Functions, or methods in Java, are just reusable chunks of code. Think of them like little recipes you can use again and again. And arrays and strings, that's just how you handle big groups of data without losing your mind. Mastering this stuff is your first big step towards writing code like a pro.
Okay, deep breath. We're about to talk about the absolute heart of Java. This next topic is so fundamental, you'll want to set aside a good 3 to 4 weeks for it. I'm not kidding. Mastering this one concept is what will make you a true Java developer. And that big topic is Object-Oriented Programming, or OOP. Now, it sounds super technical, I know. But at its core, it's just a smart way to model the real world inside your code. You create classes, which are like blueprints, and from those blueprints, you build objects, which are the actual things that do the work.
And within OOP, you'll learn these 5 key ideas that let you write incredibly flexible code. For instance, inheritance is just what it sounds like. It lets one thing inherit features from another, kind of like a sports car is a specific type of car. Encapsulation is just about bundling all your related code together to keep things neat and tidy. It's powerful stuff.
So, once you've really wrapped your head around OOP, it's time to switch gears. We're moving away from the core concepts and into the practical skills that companies are actually looking for. This is where we get you ready for the real world.
Right, so you'll learn how to handle errors so your app doesn't crash. That's exception handling. You'll learn how to manage big, complex sets of data with the collections framework and how to connect your app to a database. Seriously, go look at a job description for a Java developer. I guarantee you'll see these exact skills listed.
And now for the real test. Look, you can read books and watch videos all day long, but you don't truly learn to code until you start building things. This is the part of the journey where all that knowledge finally turns into a real skill. This is where it all clicks.
So what do you build? Anything. I'd say start simple, maybe a basic calculator, just to get your feet wet. Then push yourself. Try building a system to manage a library's books, or maybe a simple e-commerce app. I promise you, nothing will make these concepts stick better than actually using them. And remember, the journey never really ends. If you want to get past those tough technical interviews and become a really top-notch developer, you have to keep practicing. And what you'll be practicing is data structures and algorithms, or DSA. This is what separates the good from the great.
So where do you go to practice? Well, think of platforms like HackerRank, LeetCode, and Code Studio as your personal coding gym. They're packed with thousands of problems that will whip your logic into shape and get you ready for any interview they can throw at you.
Woo! We have covered the entire journey, from writing your very first line of code all the way to building skills for the industry. So let's wrap this up by looking at a realistic timeline and sharing the one single tip that matters most.
And here's the best part. This roadmap works for anyone. If you only have, say, 30 to 45 minutes a day, you can be job ready in about 5 or 6 months. But if you can go all in and learn full-time, you could be there in just 2 or 3 months. The path is totally flexible to your schedule.
Which brings us to the golden rule. If you forget everything else I've said, please remember this. The best way to learn Java is a simple formula. Theory plus practice plus projects. You learn the concept, you sharpen your understanding with practice problems, and you make it permanent by building something real. That's it. That's the secret.
So there you have it. The complete roadmap is laid out right in front of you. You know the steps, you know the timeline, you know the secret formula. The path is clear. The only question left is, when are you going to start?